You know, it's plenty hot outside, and leaving children in unattended cars can be mighty dangerous. The National Safety Council says there have been hot car-related deaths involving children in 2025, 19 of them, with one of them happening last week in our state. Now, with us for a conversation about prevention of hot car deaths is Melissa Dorsch. She is the Injury Prevention Coordinator for Baylor Scott and White Hillcrest. Melissa, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Now, how rapidly can the temperatures in unattended vehicles rise?
Way faster than most people think. A car can increase in temperature about 19 degrees in under 10 minutes. And the temperature outside doesn't need to be hot. One of those deaths you talked about actually happened when it was only 68 degrees outside. Cracking windows in your car does not help that either.
And we're talking about children here. How much more vulnerable are children to the effects of heat in an unattended vehicle?
So children, unfortunately, are way more vulnerable than adults are. Their bodies heat up about 3 times faster than adults do. They just don't have the coping mechanisms that adults do to regulate their temperatures.
Now, whether it's children, whether it's adults, you have heat exhaustion and heat stroke. What is the temperature where heat exhaustion starts, and also for heat stroke?
So that is a little different for everybody. It has to do with how well your body compensates, how well you're adjusted to being outside and being in the heat. What's important is to recognize those symptoms of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Nausea, vomiting, excessive or lack of sweating, skin that's really, really hot to the touch, or anybody who has like what we call an altered mental status. They're confused, they're just not making sense. That is going to necessitate a call to 911, get emergency help coming to you, and get those bodies cooled down as quickly as possible and get those people to a hospital as soon as possible.
Melissa Dorsch with Baylor Scott and White Hillcrest, the Injury Prevention Coordinator. Let's talk about some prevention. What can we all be mindful of to prevent this from happening?
Absolutely. So pediatric vehicular heat stroke is what we call that, is absolutely preventable. What we use, the acronym is called ACT. The first thing is avoidance. Obviously, we want to avoid this happening in the first place. You always want to keep your vehicles locked at all times, even when they're in the garage, even when they're in the driveway. We want to keep those kiddos from getting in the car. If a child does go missing, the first thing you want to check is your water sources. Check your pools, check your bathtubs, make sure they're not in the water, and then check your cars as your second place. Check and make sure they haven't gotten in there accidentally. The second is create a reminder. If you are driving a kid and you're not normally the parent that drops them off, you're a grandparent, you're an aunt, you're a cousin, you're the babysitter, put a reminder in the front seat, put a stuffy in the front seat, put something that's going to remind you that there's a little one in the back seat, or put your cell phone back there, something that's going to remind you that you have to turn around and look. And then T is going to be take action. If you find a child that's in a car that's locked up, that's closed the windows, call 911 immediately and get help out to that kid.
Melissa Dorsch, thank you so much for joining us. Good tips to just don't leave folks unattended in those vehicles.
Yes.
We want to thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
You betcha. And we'll be right back.